I've really let the luxury beauty stack up recently. I have so much exciting, beautiful, expensive makeup sitting in front of me, all of which I have bought. And honestly, I've just been quibbling about how to divide them up into different videos, and I thought that this would be the most interesting way to do it, was to combine a bunch of brands together. I don't really know if anybody's interested in a full face of Burberry. Like, I'd love to gauge your interest. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in. But let me go ahead and tell you the things that we are at least going to try to fit into a face of makeup today. I have a lot of Burberry. So I have the primer from Burberry, and then I have their foundation. This is the Beyond Wear Perfecting Matte. I think I'm gonna apply the primer to one side of my face and then the foundation to all of my face so that we can see the difference with and without. I'll be honest, I have eyeshadows and powders and blushes from Burberry, and they're not that impressive to me. Like, it just doesn't feel like something that really warrants talking about unless we really are just deep diving on Burberry in another video. We might use the powder, but in terms of blush, I have this. This is the Couture Face Palette from YSL, and it's a lot of bright blushes and glittery highlighters. It's a lot louder than I was expecting it to be, and so we're gonna try and smash that onto my face today. I also caved in, honestly, and bought the new shade in the Make Me Blush Powder Blush. This is the shade 23, and it's just this like soft beige mauve. So maybe that's our bailout plan if the blush palette gets out of hand. And then I have this. I was not sure how to integrate this into a video. This is the new Byredo Bibliophilia palette. That's what it's called. So this is my second of this really large format Byredo palette. I had the Remembrance palette before this, and I've also had a lot of their quints. This has been out for a minute, so I've had a lot of time to really get my head around it, and I'm excited to share my thoughts. I ordered two. There is one somewhere, but I am going to use this one today. This is a Burberry lipstick in Earthy Rosewood. It's gonna really pull this in as like a fall look, I think. It's very, very pretty. I'm gonna try and make this as useful of a review as possible for y'all so that you get the most out of these, and everything's gonna be chaptered out because I know that those are a lot of products. So let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to skin prep on one side with this Burberry primer. It's luminous, and it's like a gel. They all have a little bit of a fragrance to them, but this fragrance is not aggressive at all. I would put it in the category of pleasant. Put it on this side. My skin is really bad right now. It's so bad. This is like bad for me. So I'm gonna kind of rub this until it feels like it's gripping, because it does have a little bit of tack to it, but it's also a lovely gel finish that has radiance to it, like it has actual pearlescence to it. So obviously without, and there is with. There's something about the luxury fashion houses calling things matte that makes me less afraid to use them for some reason. I feel like their definition of matte, at least after using like Givenchy and Prada and YSL, like I feel like their matte foundations are never as matte as like a Tom Ford matte foundation. Do you know what I mean? So this is very much the case with this, but I obviously am going to demonstrate that like you can get an even more like luminous, lower coverage application with that primer. So I got this in shade 20 Fair Neutral, and it is really light, but I'd always rather err on the side of light than too deep, but it is light. It is quite light. All right, let's do this side first. I haven't tried mixing them together. I bet that's beautiful too. I mentioned in a video recently that I was talking about using your makeup differently, and this was the product I used as an example, was the Burberry Primer. Was just that like, I'm so pleasantly surprised by it, that the way that it works with everything that I've used it under, that I kind of sometimes just want to wear it by itself. It's just very, very pretty, and it does lock down. It doesn't just feel like skincare. So you can see, it's not full coverage. Zoobly zoo face over here. It's not full coverage. You can get more coverage out of it when there isn't a primer underneath it. That primer definitely, it's like it keeps the foundation from sticking quite as much. You know, there's that layer on your skin already. And so it just makes everything behave very differently. It's like a primer that I feel like makes a big difference in my routine when I use it. So much so that, I mean, it's just been something that's really stuck in my flash drive memory on my brain. I have rarely used a primer that felt like it made that big of a difference. And I'll be honest, I didn't want to like this. I was like, oh, it's gonna be so matte and so high coverage, but you can see, I mean, I've got some very freshly annoyed pimples and it's not covering them all the way. This is not a full coverage foundation. It doesn't feel like a mask. It doesn't feel like a shellacking of makeup. My definition of full coverage is like the Prada, which is pretty, you know, solidly medium coverage. I don't wear anything that is like very, very high coverage. And so this is, you know, still a little bit kind of like creeping up on the outside of my comfort zone. And so when I put this on, I was like, oh, it's gonna be so matte. This is gonna be not made for me and stuff. But it's like the more I wear it and the more I observe the longevity of it throughout the day, the more impressed I am with it. Plus, it's super lightweight. I love a lightweight foundation. But yeah, my face is kind of glowing white at the moment. All right, let me turn the light down so that you can see the two finishes in real life here. So that's how the finish really looks. And it's, like I said, I mean, it's barely medium coverage, but it is satin. Like, it's a true natural finish. Like erring on the side of being a little bit more satin than natural. And I find that makes it really lightweight. It is more coverage or just like less silicone-y than the Makeup by Mario. But I feel like maybe this coverage level is kind of in style right now, which is fortunate for me. I always like when my taste is in style, don't we all? But I love that my freckles still show through it and everything. I do think I could have gotten a better shade in it, obviously, but it's still not like distorting the color of my freckles or anything. And then there is it with, I mean, you're just gonna have to let me know how that looks because I can't look at my monitor while showing this to you. So, I mean, in the mirror, I can see that obviously it's going to have a little bit more luminosity to it. But the other thing is, much like any shimmer goo, I call these things shimmer goos, if you go too hard with it, it will get gummy. I mean, anything will, but it is definitely prone to that. And I have tested the limits of it and it will start to get cut. It'll like make whatever you put on top of it feel sludgy. But that's why I like to use just a little bit and then I will rub it in until I feel it start to get tacky before I put something on top of it. I feel like it has more technology to it than a lot of the other shimmer goos that I've used. There are a lot of base products that are like that and a lot of them do just kind of stay molten. And this definitely has a lockdown to it, which I like. Okay, so in the interest of being able to concentrate on the products that we are focusing on today, I'm going to use a concealer and a contour and a bronzer that I have already used before so that we're not just painstakingly belaboring every step. I'm going to use my Sarah Creel concealer in shade 1. I'm going to use the Dior contour in shade 1, light, the one that I use all the time, and I'm going to use the Armani Luminous Silk Powder bronzer in the shade 90. Okay. I've created quite a bit of contrast here, but I wanted to leave room for the blush. And a lot of times I will say I'm not gonna apply my bronzer until I get the blush on because I don't want the color to be obscured and things like that. Y'all, there is so little danger of you not seeing these blushes once they're on my skin. Let me go ahead and swatch them. I mean, there's really not a lot of relief here. I said it when I saw the product introduced online that I felt like maybe they were trying to kind of like make something that was for too many people and it sort of isn't for any specific person as a result of that. And I kind of stand by that initial assessment. I definitely think that a lot of these blushes work better for deep skin tones, but at the same time, only one of them is matte. There's only one matte formula in this entire palette and it's like, I don't care who that's for, you know? That's not a lot of relief. And it's like, oh, well, is it gonna be kind of like an hourglass palette where they look shimmery, but really it's a blur? Not really, not really. The shimmery blushes are quite, well, I guess there are two shimmery blushes and then there's this, which I don't know. I don't know I don't know how to put that on my face. I don't think that I can put that on my face. I mean, you could see that. when you look at it online, I'm the ding dong who bought it. You know what I mean? I'm not like, oh my God, bait and switch, but like, it just would have been nice, I guess, if they had made more than one colorway in this. Not to say that there's something wrong with something not being for me, but this is for very few people. And all that said, let's put it on my face. All right, I think that I'm gonna start with like this one right here. It's sort of a maybe lightly shimmery mauve color. It doesn't appear to want to be a highlighter right out of the gate. Yeah. It's, even if you have deep skin and these colors work with your undertone, I hazard to say it's a lot of shimmer. I just like don't know who is driving the ship sometimes with these things. It's like, this is a lot of decisions that seems to have had to make its way through a lot of people before it became a product. I just don't know what that process looks like, you know? Okay, do we try and use the matte? I mean, that is the only matte in there, so maybe we try and use the matte. Let's try this with a 104. It's just a smaller version of the 102. So, do that. Oh my goodness. Okay, oh my God, oh my God. This isn't my first time using this. It just kind of always goes like this. Listen, the finish is gorgeous. I already know that I like the YSL blush formula, but like this is kind of wild. This is kind of just a wild bunch of choices. Let's take a small powder brush here, Nikki LaRose N15, and I'm gonna use the tamer of the two here. Of the highlights that I feel like will work on me. Oh my God. Oh, they're so eyeshadowy. Ooh, boy, those are shimmery. Okay, so like, I don't want to, again, make any like overarching statements about taste, but to make a generalization, a lot of people in my comments who have aging skin and signs of maturing in their skin say that they do not want a shimmery, glittery highlighter because it's going to really accentuate those lines. I feel like these shimmer formulas and these highlighters really preclude certain age groups from being able to get any use out of this palette. So right now we are talking about medium to deep skin tones who have cool to neutral complexions, who want a fair amount of shimmer and are under the age of 45. This is a very, very specific customer for this palette, and it's just odd. It's just odd. It's an odd set of choices. If you love that palette, please do me a favor and make the case for it in the comments. I want to be able to enrich my ability to review things, and that sometimes means being wrong. So if I'm really misunderstanding the use case of it, please tell me. I want to know. Okay, like I said, I think that this might serve to be our bailout. This is the shade 23, and it's nice and soft and matte. And that's gonna be a beige. We haven't powdered yet either, so hopefully I can kind of use some powder to clean this up, but like that beige might help to just take the intensity and the sheen down a notch. I know, y'all are screaming from the back row being like, stop putting blush on. I know, it's a train wreck. Let's powder. Let's go ahead and use this Burberry powder. When I first saw this online, before I was able to get it, I really thought that I was like looking at the way that it like came in its packaging, that it was gonna come with some kind of piece of paper over the middle of it or something, but like that's powder and they all look like that. So make of that what you will. I have no idea how that translates for deeper skin tones. It feels like a miscalculation to me on their part, but I'm gonna just kind of do what I think they want me to do and, you know, mix them together here. I got the shade 01 Fair, and it is a nice, like, ultra blurring powder. It's really, really finely milled. It doesn't have a lot of coverage, as you can see. It almost is one of those ones that starts to like diminish your coverage a little bit, which is not my favorite thing. I do like a skin toned powder to perfect things. And still nothing really beats my Kosas. I'm gonna do that to my eyelids too. I bought a Burberry eyeshadow quad and it is the biggest yawn of all time, y'all. Like it's I don't even feel like putting it in a video. I'm like, well, I don't care. How could I possibly make anyone else care? I don't care. Like, I like a boring color story, but it is so boring that like, I don't even know what I did with it. Anyway. That's a lot. That's just a lot. I'm gonna take a little bit of this Bronze Goddess bronzer in 01 Light from Estee Lauder and use that to just kind of bridge that under eye situation so I don't look like I've been wearing ski goggles and no sunscreen. I might have to pull out my NARS blushes in all the like funky in-betweeny tones that they came out with recently to like reconcile this at the end. I think the best we can hope for is that we get like a gradient. I don't think that we're going to like take this down to a place where it looks natural, but it looks okay. I think we have to kind of bring the contrast of the rest of my makeup up to meet it. So let's crack into this Byredo palette. I'm gonna show you in comparison here. Again, there are plenty of these palettes. I just only happen to own two. And if you happen to own the same two that I do, maybe this is an important and helpful comparison for you. So here we have Remembrance and here we have Bibliophilia. Remembrance is very cool toned, pretty useful, but I found that like my eyelids just kind of shed these formulas. There was just something about them that like refused to have any kind of like wear time on me, which is interesting because I feel like the Quints are like a different formula. They do have a lot of payoff. I could be hallucinating. I could be making that up. They could be entirely the same. My experience with Byredo products has been so kind of spaced out because that's the nature of their releases. It's hard to pin down patterns in what they do. And I also have paid a lot of money for some disappointing products from Byredo. They have these shimmer sticks that like, please do not spend your money on them. They don't make any sense. They are clumsy and they don't look nice on the skin and they're expensive. So there are a few strengths that this has. One of them is these nuanced browns. The browns are so interesting. Like these over here are mustardy colored. Like the two that are next to each other, like this definitely has like a mustard kind of base to it. And this is very clearly mustardy. And then you get into these like reds over here, which you can make a really gorgeous, super impactful, dramatic kind of burgundy eye with. And it's gorgeous. It's really, really pretty. And then these mattes, I feel like they take a little bit of just precaution. Just know that they are quite blendable and eager to blend and eager to like jump onto your skin. And so it's like, you know, approach gingerly. And I would say that the thing that I have noticed the most about this is as you work with each of these colors, they are all colors that I don't have anywhere else. They're just weird and not weird for weird's sake. So like, you know, I don't have that in an eyeshadow anywhere and it's an awesome color. Do you see that? How it's got kind of that gray green to it that isn't dark? And so it's something that could really balance out an eye look on me or base an eye look on me. And you wouldn't necessarily identify it as what it is. It just helps. So it really feels like a painter's palette in that sense. But the one annoyance that I have is that they put only one of their really gorgeous like wet look shadows in here. It's this one right here. And oh wow, so pretty, right? Except it's like hard to see. It shifts green on the eyes. So you'll put down all of these really beautiful kind of neutral, milky browns on your eye and then you'll top with that and it'll just take things a little bit green. And it's not harmonious. It's not that it's bad, it's just there's no other green in the palette and it just feels like a mistake. And I know y'all are like, you're like, that's not green. It looks like it's just gonna be champagne color, but it's not, it's green. It is green, I promise you it's green. It's so hard to see. It's so hard to see, but when I get it on my eyes, I swear it's green. I might just have to intentionally wade into uncomfortable territory to demonstrate for you. The rest of the journey is going to be such a pleasure. This is such a beautiful color story. So, I mean, we're going to really settle in, nestle in over here to these. I mean, it takes nothing to pick this product up, and it spreads really beautifully. I mean, this is the kind of formula that has a really, to me, strong point of view. It doesn't necessarily mean it's for everyone. It might be a little too soft for your taste. It feels a little tiny bit high stakes in that sense. And also, not everybody wants to have a palette this enormous, you know? It'd be nice if you could condense the browns and the golds down and have like a 9-pan. But if this is something that appeals to you, I can definitely tell you that the formulas are, unlike anything else, impressive in a way that impresses me more than Louis Vuitton. And obviously this is $115 for 15 shades. No, 6 times 3, 18 shades. And that's obviously a way, way better value. Everything is a way better value, but it's still a way, way better value than the Louis Vuitton eyeshadow quad, which I do like. I do like it. Now that I have, you know, gotten it in my hands and tried it and everything, it is really nice. It's slow to build. It is basically like the ultimate way to create the most low-key, natural-looking eyeshadow look. Like, I honestly feel like they, I built it so much more on the side. I honestly feel like they said, when people use this quad, they're going to be representatives of our brand. We have to make it impossible for them to look garish. And that is what those palettes are. So, you know, good for them, cheers. But, and I've only done one shade so far. I do appreciate just, I mean, obviously it's apples and oranges. They're two different things, but I like Byredo's point of view here. And from all of the formulas that I touch on a regular basis, these feel like luxury. They just do. So there's just one shade. This one is super interesting. It's just a very uncommon kind of green-based mustard color. And on the lids, it's breathtaking. It's so pretty. I mean, maybe not only I shouldn't say that, but I feel like this is color nerd stuff because I like, look at the color I'm obsessing over. It's not exactly gonna like get 1 million likes in a single pan on Instagram, right? You're not looking at that going like, oh my God, that color is gonna change my life. It's very much just like a warm, sandy khaki color, but it has so much nuance to it. I just think it's so pretty. Oh my God. And you can get this beautiful finish out of it. I love it. The cheeks are screaming. I'm gonna take that color we just discussed and work that up there. Get a really beautiful kind of intentionally muddy blend. It's so pretty. It's like a funky gray. It's like a washed dishwater white, you know? Is Isabella still in charge of Byredo? Because whoever conceived of this, like, it's got these little nuggets in it where I'm like, I just want to shake your hand. There's such little moments of brilliance in here. I'm gonna grab a little bit of this very pale color. Work that into the inner corner. Do people still do inner corner highlights? Am I the only one still out here carrying the torch for an inner corner highlight? Like, I didn't get the memo, but he's like, oh my God, khaki still does inner corner highlights. So it's beautiful. It really is. Okay, this is the look that I would end up with. And then we would put on eyeliner and mascara. But I feel like A, we need to harmonize it with the rest of this situation, the situation that's happening. But also, if I don't put that wet look shimmer on there, y'all are gonna be like, well, what, you know what I mean? Why'd you tell us the first half of the story and not give us the punchline? So I'm gonna start deepening the crease here with this dark brown. It's not the darkest brown, but it is dark. Ooh, yes. We're still not outside my comfort zone yet. But do you see how nice and easy that blend is? It's even easier to blend on top of itself. Okay. Yeah, like that's an absurdly lovely blending formula. I feel like we need to bring red in. Perhaps this one that has more purple to it. mean, there are so many shades in this palette. It's like almost twice as many as a Pat McGrath palette. And it's like, I always say that a Pat McGrath palette is a place where I can make glorious, glorious mud. So you can imagine I can make double the glorious mud in a palette like this. I'm gonna take a little bit of this like clay color and work it. Oh, Lord in heaven, that's pigmented. Okay, I'm gonna work that kind of here. Ooh, so gently, y'all. I am barely touching my skin with that. Not bad. I'm gonna take a little bit of that same clay color, go underneath my eyes with it. It's getting a little bit spooky. But I do think that we succeeded in making something that, you know, comes up to match the cheeks, at least in terms of intensity, not necessarily an undertone, but yeah, I'm gonna use a little more of that kind of funky, weird gray and just blend everything together. That's my new favorite thing, is that weird color. Like, if I'm honest with myself, it's not a flattering thing to say, but if I'm honest with myself, a lot of my skin is that color. Yep, sure is. We do have to do this Wet Look shimmer. It is really aggressive, like really aggressive. Like, you barely need any. And it's green. It is green. I will die on this hill. It's like that meme that's like, I don't know how to explain this, but the peas are upside down. I don't know how to explain it, but it's green. Okay, fine, it looks incredible. But there have been times where I have put it on top of just a beautiful, like, again, milky brown look where I'm like, ah, why is it green? Well, I'll be darned if that's not just extremely pretty. I'm working that stupid gray in. Again, it's my new favorite thing. My cheeks need to be redder, but we will get there. I think that the lipstick is gonna go incredibly well with this eye look, and we're gonna end up with something quite vampy, y'all. So I'm gonna do my eyeliner and my mascara and my brows, and we will come back, we'll play with this lip, and then we'll try and do some damage control on the cheeks. Very satisfied with this eye look. It's a lot of drama for me, and I love how it turned out. I like that palette tremendously. It's really grown on me. I didn't want to love it, but it definitely persuaded me. So let's talk about this Burberry lipstick. Again, I've become a bit of a lipstick lady lately, and this one, man, I really quibbled online. I might have only bought one at the end of the day. Yeah, maybe I did do that. So anyway, this is the shade Earthy Rosewood in the Burberry Kisses formula, whatever that means. And it's so pretty. Oh, it's so pretty. Must put it on my lips immediately. No smell. God bless them. God bless them, no smell. I do not like a really strong lip line on me because none of the other lines on me are particularly strong, so. It's so pretty. I'm gonna blot it, but I do want you to see it at like full saturation there. It's lovely. There we go. It's just comfortable. It's more comfortable to blot it. It has a little bit of like a satin matte finish, but it's not overly drying. And is the color not dialed into perfection? It's absurd. So we need to do a little bit of damage control. Mainly the cheeks just look clownish. They really do. I'm gonna take some of my Kosas powder because it is just a very lightweight powder that will also cover things. And I'm just going to take everything down a notch over here. Yeah. And now that we have, yeah, it's very, very lavender. I'm wondering if we have something from NARS that can kind of introduce a touch more of that like rusty burgundy kind of thing to it. And what it's really missing is peach. So hopefully this color theory experiment works, because this is the shade Devilish, and I'm hoping that this kind of grapey purple that's happening layered with a peach is gonna land us somewhere in this kind of mauvey clay territory. Let's find out. I think that the shimmer in the highlight is so aggressive that like that's a lot of what we're seeing is the shift in the light. I feel like that helped a little bit. I mean, it's definitely a lot of look. Listen, sometimes you just do the best you can. That's the look, y'all. For better or for worse, let's jump into final thoughts. This Burberry primer is special. I do think that it's special. Is it special enough to justify the Burberry price? That's for you to decide. I have found that it differs from other primers of its ilk as long as you use what I would consider to be a reasonable amount, you know, one layer. Don't try and like layer it multiple times. It will set down, it will get a little bit tacky, and you can wear it on its own. It is not like too shiny to do that. And I feel like there is a distinct difference in the appearance of one side to the, well, now that there's so much glitter on my cheeks from that YSL palette, I actually am not totally sure. There's more luminosity over here, especially if you don't wear something full coverage with it, and it allows you to get more adjustable coverage, more flexible coverage out of the foundation itself, because it tends to not cling to the skin quite as heavily when you have this on. It is time to mow my neighbor's lawn. Enjoy. The foundation, I am not sure that this is a run, do not walk situation. This is a fantastic foundation, but it's very expensive and it's not so unlike other things that I feel like it justifies the price from a standalone standpoint. I think that like it's halfway in between something like the Makeup by Mario and the Prada. And it's probably gonna like photograph really well. It would probably also look better if you had a better shade match than I got. You know, mine's making me look a little ghostly, but I don't think that it is bad by any means. I just have to, it's my responsibility to judge it against everything else that I've tried. And I've tried so many things, especially things that are like, you know, in its cohort. And I have those two sitting right here because they are two of my favorite things. So it does speak highly of it to say that it kind of falls in between those two. It is a little more matte than either of the, is it? Or is it just more oil controlling? It's like it has a little more oil control to it than either of these things, but it has that kind of lightweight silicone-ish finish that the Makeup by Mario has, while also having that really perfected appearance to it that isn't wildly high coverage that the Prada has. And it does have a fragrance. I actually don't mind the fragrance in the Burberry products. It's really, really light. I mean, it's no secret that this is where everything really fell apart today. Like I said, when you start to take into consideration that the customer that this is intended for would want to use all of these shades on their cheeks and for those colors to be at least somewhat skin native. This right here and the intensity of this really start to shrink that customer base down, right? Okay, that's one thing that does that, which is, it's fine. They didn't choose to make more than one of these colorways, and it might not be intended for me, and that's fine. But then we also shrink it down in terms of who wants to wear that much shimmer. That's a lot of shimmer, especially for a luxury blush palette. If we were talking about something that was kind of like, I don't know, geared more towards a younger audience, perhaps called itself more of like a, I don't know, like a highlighter eyeshadow palette, just had a different marketing scheme in general, maybe. But there is, like I said, only one in here that's a matte, and it's like really, really intensely pigmented. And so like the easiest ones to use are like this one, sorry, this one right here and this one right here in terms of the balance of color and shimmer, but they still come off really highlightery on the skin to the point that if you have self-consciousness around maturing skin on your cheeks and you don't want things that like highlight that maturing skin, no, not buy this. It's going to highlight those things. It's going to for sure. Like this is definitely like individual glitter particles kind of highlighter. And I mean, this one's got a full-on shift on it. Like it really is giving eyeshadow. It's like a giant eyeshadow palette. Maybe that's the answer. I take a little bit of this, our mauve color, our shimmery mauve, and just bring it into the eye look and just make a little bit of harmony. That might not have made any difference to you, but it made a difference to me. Well, I hope that I gave you a nice tour of the Bibliophilia palette from Byredo. I think that there are some real flashes of brilliance in here. Not to be too literal, but I understand and I'm currently gaslighting myself about my perception of green, but it's happened more than once that I've used that shimmer and I've been disappointed by how greenly it shifts, but it is not doing it right now. It's like you bring your car to the mechanic and they're like, it's not making the noise now. And I'm like, I know. So, you know, I have no complaints about this currently, especially as a color theory nerd among other color theory nerds. These are some weird colors in useful ways. They are really cool and interesting and a lot of stuff that just doesn't exist anywhere else. And I respect Byredo's point of view on that. And the formulas are delicious. They are really, really nice. Like they're so soft and blendy and lovely. They blend on top of themselves really well. And I've gotten wear time out of this one. I don't know why the other one didn't give me any wear time. Maybe I'll go back into it. Maybe it's the way that I do my makeup now is different. I don't know. But I am extremely impressed with this. And especially in light of like all the other things that people want to charge $115 for right now. You're getting so much more value and luxury in these formulas and rarity in the shades than you're gonna get for your money in a lot of other places if that's something that appeals to you. And the browns are so useful. And then this Burberry lipstick, which honestly, it really gets high marks from me because it is from one of the luxury fashion houses. It is a beautiful lipstick. It is a nice, lovely package, and they didn't put a fragrance in it. So it's not obnoxious to wear. It's like a thing that you can very easily every day put on and it's never gonna offend your senses. And also I have this theory that like we should be, I know people say your nipples, but I have this theory that we should be matching our gums with our lipstick. And like, look how similar that is to my gums. My gums are a little bit more like warm tone than that, but still. Maybe your tongue? My own time. This is the stuff I'm noodling about. I'm like, what if you turn your eyelids inside out? Yeah, so you can see how this Burberry lipstick color in Rosewood, what's it called? Earthy Rosewood is quite appealing to me and I'm really happy with it. And why I feel like it just looks super flattering on me is because it's like already this naturally occurring color in like my mouth area. I'm used to seeing that color against my teeth. I'm gonna stop. Okay. All right. I hope that was like a digestible amount of information that was also useful for you. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. I'd appreciate that. And hype. If you're on mobile, hype it. God, I sound so old. I'm like, will you hype the video? Yeah, it does apparently help, I guess. Subscribe while you're here, obviously. I would love it if you did. We would all love it if you did. This is a lovely little community. We're very kind to one another. We like to laugh. I'll put a video up here that I think that you will enjoy if you liked this one. Thank y'all so much for being here, for hanging out with me today. I love you so much and I will see you in the next one. Bye.